So, our next topic, problems tend to be pervasive and persistent in our minds. I couldn't find an image for this slide that conveyed exactly what I wanted it to convey, but this is pretty good. Like the whole universe is what I want to talk about. I think that our psychological problems as religious trauma survivors are pervasive and persist across time and cover most aspects of our lives. And I believe that this happens because we were raised with a worldview that spans all the past, the present, the future, eternity, the entire earth, God, the universe, all humans. Like, we were raised with a worldview that claimed to explain everything. And we were taught to think about everything, not just, I'm losing my words, but bear with me. I'm still constantly amazed that some people who didn't grow up fundamentalist were actually raised with some healthy ambiguity and some unknowns in their beliefs. Um, when my son, who I didn't raise to be religious, says something like, well, we really can't know what happens after we die. So you really just kind of have to live the best life you can and try to be happy. I'm like, how on earth did you get that from me? Because it's definitely what I wanted him to learn, but I was afraid that he was going to grow up with all of my fears and my obsessive thought patterns. I was afraid that he was going to get a lot of that. Um, as an adult, I've learned that some non religious or not very religious people's parents, when they asked them questions, said things like, well, nobody really knows for sure, but we think the Earth is billions of years old or something like that. That is not what most of us grew up with if we were ultra conservative. Most ultra religious people are trained to know how many thousands of years old the Earth is, and it's bad if you don't know, because if you don't have the number of years memorized between when we think that God created the heavens and the earth and on down through biblical history, through Moses and Abraham and David, and calculating how long till Jesus was born, and then all of the history since then. If you don't view it that way, the history of the entire universe, um, then you're prone to believing some kind of heresy like the Big Bang or something like that, and evolution. You're supposed to know all of these things. And this is that kind of a worldview that claims to explain everything from the beginning of time when God created everything through an eternal future. Um, that's the opposite of having healthy ambiguity and uncertainty, because ambiguity and uncertainty are considered dangerous in most fundamentalist religions. So, what that leaves us with is a lot of difficulty in handling real ambiguity and real uncertainty in everyday life. And it makes us want to just latch on to something, latch on to anything until we've got some kind of certainty. It's like we're, in a swimming pool or an ocean or something, and we're just thrashing around in the water and we'll grab onto absolutely anything. And we could have been taught how to swim instead of latching onto something more certain. We tend to want to have all of the answers. And if we don't have all of the answers, then we don't feel safe. Some people who were either brought up in a more benign form, a less controlling form of religion, or who were not brought up religious at all, were taught more to be self sufficient, taught more to think things through on our own, taught that we can't know everything and that we can have some measure of safety even when we don't know absolutely everything. That is a very different way of bringing up children from what most of us were brought up in. So, one of the ways that I help my clients is that we talk about all of the abilities that they have actually learned over the years, some of which did come from their religious upbringing, by the way. I'm never going to say that everything about being brought up super conservative religious is bad. I don't believe that. It's not. We got a lot of good things from it. Um, but it can help to really focus on our strengths and to start to realize that we have been dealing with the unknown all of our lives, whether we were comfortable with it or not, and that we've actually made some really good decisions along the way, that we've gained a lot of life skills, that we were actually relatively safe even when we felt unsafe, that we've handled uncertainty in the past, and that means that we'll be able to handle it again in the future. Um, Reminding ourselves of our existing strengths and all of the times that we have handled uncertainty before is really useful. And we also talk a lot about our creative abilities. And I don't just mean being able to do art or create music or any of those other wonderful things, but I have my clients focus on creative forms of thinking because most of us grew up thinking kind of black and white, but we are capable of a great deal of creative thinking. And I have exercises that I use to help clients prove that to themselves. It's really wonderful. So that was a little bit about problems seeming pervasive and persistent. And next, we're going to move on and talk about apocalyptic thinking. Hey, a really quick note that I'm going to tack on to the end of a few of these videos. If you think that you might like to work with me one-on-one, then you might want more information about that. You can either look for the last video in this series, which I'm literally just going to call How to Work with Me, or you can go to my website and find out more about how I do this. I do all of my coaching on Zoom, so you can be any place in the world, doesn't matter where you are. I give you more information both in the wrap-up video and on my website about rates and how often to see me and all of the logistics of it. So if you're interested, check those things out.